What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Casey with Meshed Up Printing, and if you can't tell, I got emulsion all over me today, so I figured why not make our first YouTube video on how to properly coat your screens with emulsion. So it's our first YouTube video, so bear with me. Let's get it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in our dark room. Usually we don't have these bright ass LED lights on, but just for this video's purpose, up until we go to actually do the coating of the screens, we're gonna leave these lights on just to improve video quality, to help you guys out. So here are some basic tools to help get a better coating on your screen. Obviously, you're going to need a screen, a scoop coater, and some emulsion. Now, the debate on which emulsion is the best is going to be a lifelong debate through screen printers that will just go on forever. So you can spend hours researching yourself on which one's the best, but I'm here to tell you and provide information that we learned in our first year of screen printing, which one's the best and which one works the best for us. So with that being said, obviously, to coat a screen, you're gonna need a screen, right? So, preferably, don't do that, but preferably when you first start out screen printing, you wanna go buy brand new screens. And I know, at least for us, we weren't able to do that. We weren't able to go buy brand new right off the jump. So, luckily we found a deal with a local screen printer who went out of business, and he sold us all of the screens for dirt cheap, $4 a piece. We had to take them back home, back to the shop and reclaim them. Took us about 3 hours, but we got screens for $4 a piece, so no telling that you'll find that deal also. So I would suggest just go buy, if you're starting out, just buy 4 brand new screens, stick to 156 to 180 mesh. You know, here's a 180 right here. We use this the absolute most. It works the best all the way from white inks to a CMYK print. It works great. 180 is a very solid mesh count. So no matter where you get your screens from, what you want to do, and we messed up and didn't do this when we started, you want to make sure that your screens are completely clean. And by completely clean, I don't mean just you rinse off the emulsion and you let them dry. There's another step that we were kind of too arrogant to look into. We thought, you just rinse off the emulsion, it's good to go. No, that's not the case. So what you want to do, go get you some degreaser, and you can use Simple Green. We used Simple Green for a while until we kind of did some research on it and realized that it's not the best for your screens. That's another debate that we can go on a rabbit hole about also, but I'll link the description below to the best kind of degreasers that we found. A lot of the stuff in this video is from screenprinting.com, so just kind of browse their site and you'll start to see all the stuff that'll help you improve your processes little by little, which in turn makes your customer happy, which brings you more business, and it's just kind of an upward spiral after that. So you want to get you some good degreaser. You can start off with Simple Green if you're in a pinch. Get some Simple Green and a non-abrasive scrub pad, and what you want to do is after you get off your emulsion, your screen's going to look clean like this, and you're going to take that, once your screen is still wet, you want to take your degreaser, squirt it on both sides, scrub it with your scrub pad, do it on your ink side and your shirt side, and let it sit for about 30 seconds, and rinse off that degreaser from the bottom of the screen to the top. Do it on this side, flip around, do it on that side. And then you want to let it dry. That's another thing that we screwed up on, is we weren't really letting them dry properly. So over here, can't see it over here, but you can invest in a screen rack, but we still haven't, to be honest. We have this nice little shop, we have plenty of shelving. We only have about 35, 36 screens on hand right now, and they're never all going to be here at the same time. So if you can afford the $600, $500 screen rack, go right ahead. That's a great improvement for your shop, great improvement for your darkroom. However, we just feel that that's a waste of money at the point that we're at in our business. So we installed a ceiling fan and also an oscillating fan on the other end of our darkroom, so we have constant airflow in these screens. And when we're done putting degreaser on our screens, we have them directly under our ceiling fan, and we have them kind of hanging off the edge of the table, something like this, where we have them about halfway off, so you got air hitting it from both sides. It dries nice and even, nice and smooth. And for us in our darkroom, it usually takes about 2 hours for our screens to dry in the weather conditions that we're in now, which is getting a little bit cooler. I say a little bit cooler, we're in Buckeye, Arizona, where it's 60 degrees out and I'm shivering in here, you know? So you gotta find out what darkroom situation works best for you. This is just from our situation what works best for us. So you have a perfectly clean screen now. It's degreased, you know you took off all the emulsion. And what you want to do after that's all said and done, your screen is completely dry. Make sure you got clean hands. We like to use latex gloves, but of course, as luck would have it, we just ran out yesterday. So my hands are clean. I know the screen is clean, but just for this video purpose, you want to make sure that there's no water on your frame. Shake it, make sure there's no water. And what you want to do, fingers are still clean. You just kind of want to go back and forth. Make sure that there's no chemicals, no little rocks, pebbles, or any other contaminants on both sides of your screen. There's a little bit of leftover emulsion right there. This is one of the used ones that we bought, but that's at a point in the screen where it does not matter. You're not going to have an image right there on your screen, so we're not worried about that. But you just take it back and forth, and you should just feel, you don't feel anything on your fingertips. It's just nice and smooth. And the reason you want to do that is any little contaminant that could be on your screen, when you're using your scoop coater, it could cause a void in where you're putting your screen. And as luck would have it, that's usually right where your image is. And you spent all that time reclaiming and drying your screen, and now you're pissed off at yourself because you didn't take the 2 seconds to make sure your screen is clean. I say that coming from experience. So just another helpful tip to help you guys out. And now, as far as the scoop coater debate, as you can see right here, we bought a little cheap one from Amazon, and it worked to get us by. But once you get a good one like this, you'll never want to use this again. This is just up there for, I don't know why, honestly. There you go. I don't know why. So we bought this. I believe this is from screen printing also. I believe the brand is Koata, K-O-A-T-A. But what we really like about this one is it's got a much better feel to it. It fits better in your hands. You can get you have good control over it. And it's got a little bit thicker side and a thinner side. We like to use the thinner side to coat our screens. Just feel that it slides a lot better on the screen. It applies a much more even amount of emulsion across the screen. And just like how we did with our screen, how we made sure that there's no contaminants, no little rocks or fabrics on there, you want to make sure you do the same thing with your screen, with your scoop coater also. And if you're a parent like myself and you got a newborn or a toddler at home, I know you got a lot of these at home, so utilize the resources that you already have and take a pack of these. Tell the wife, business expense. So those help out a lot. And getting in the habit of, as soon as you're done, your screens are stored properly with the coated emulsion on there. And as soon as you're done with that, taking this scoop coater out and rinsing it out and getting it dried off as soon as you're done, because you do not want to get dried up emulsion on here, especially on this lip where you're applying the emulsion. It turns into a nightmare. You start getting that voiding again when you're coating screens. So develop the habit early, keep the habit. So I would suggest getting one of these, save yourself a lot of trouble. And now onto the emulsion itself. As I stated previously, that's a debate that'll never end, but here are 2 of the 3 that we use a lot. And this one is all 3 are really, really good. Don't go buy anything on Amazon. Don't go buy the cheapest shit that you can find. Buy something that you know will work good. And I'm here to tell you, here are our top 3, right? There's only 2. We just ran out of the other one last week, and this is it's just easier for us to get. So this is from screenprinting.com. This is Base Layers Long Lasting Emulsion. Works very great. It's very, very forgiving, right? With some other emulsions, it would almost cure it just being under this light for too long, right? It's very sensitive. This stuff is not. It's very forgiving. You can almost coat screens in broad daylight with this stuff. Literally, our only complaint with this is that you have to mix this in here with it. It comes with it, and you have to mix it in there. It only takes about 5-6 minutes for you to mix it completely. But for it to settle completely, to make it ready to put on screens, it takes 4 hours. And a lot of the times we would have 4 hours to just sit around waiting to coat screens. That's our only complaint with it. Sounds lazy, right? But that's our only complaint. Holds detail really well, it rinses out pretty easy after coming out of the dip tank. And we haven't really printed a whole lot with this. I think the maximum amount of garments that we printed using this emulsion was like 150. No pinholes developed, and the first shirt looked just as good as the last. So, and a gallon of this will run you about $70, and a gallon will last you quite a long time. So, buy that one, screenprinting.com. They have great stuff. This is our favorite from Chroma Lime. This is their Chroma Lime. It's Obviously it's a green emulsion. It is a photopolymer emulsion, and it's pretty forgiving as well. But really the only reason we get this over the other two that we most commonly use, simply because it's more readily available, right? Not saying that this is ever out of stock, it's just we always have to have it shipped, right? There's a screen printing supply store right down the road from us, and we can go pick up, 10 gallons of this and we'll be good for a while. So this also holds great detail. It rinses out the best out of the three out of the dip tank. Most of the time, don't even have to use the dip tank, just use your scrub pad and some emulsion remover, and it works great. Holds detail. We've printed a lot of shirts with this and absolutely no complaints, no pinholes. Great emulsion. And the other one, and I'll link it in the description below, is Ulano Orange. And that's also it's a really good emulsion. Like I said, we just have to have it shipped, and by the time it gets here, it's more expensive than this. And this cost us 85 bucks for a gallon of it, compared to $70 for this. But by the time you ship the gallon of this, right, it'll end up being more. Same thing with the Ulano Orange. It's about $73, $75 for a gallon of the Ulano Orange. But stick to these three: your base layer long lasting, your Chromalime, and your Ulano Orange. Great emulsions, and that's, like I said, if you're a beginner and you're gonna be screen printing with Plastisol ink, which a lot of us are, once you get into water-based and discharge inks and all that crap, you're gonna want different emulsions for different situations, right? But for your beginners, don't buy cheap shit, especially when it comes to this, right? Because, you can't have, no matter how good your artwork is, if your screen isn't coated with the proper emulsion and it's not coated properly, your artwork's not gonna look that great, shirt's not gonna look that great, customer's not gonna be happy, you won't get a return customer, you're gonna be losing money. So just a downward spiral from there. You'll start to learn in screen printing, it's a lot of you buy once, cry once, right? And we've done it. We've done the buying the cheap stuff and, I can build that myself, and then it turns out to not be the best. So save up the money, make sure you buy the correct stuff. So I would stick to Chromalime, and we'll show you how to use it. So we're gonna turn off these lights because we're gonna actually coat the screen, right? We made sure everything's good to go, gave you some little tips and tricks. And so now, let's get to it. We're gonna have this LED light turned off, and we're gonna have this darkroom safe bulb, which is also from screenprinting.com. Very good investment. I think it is like $8 for a pack of 2 of them, and they've lasted 6-7 months of constant use, and we haven't had to replace one. So very much worth it. It's better than, we used to just, in the very corner of the room, we would have Mason, my business partner, he would have his flashlight on his phone turned on so I could barely see, and it just wouldn't work. So get you one of these, make a good investment, and use it to your advantage. Let's get it. All right, there we go. Now we got our darkroom vibes going on. So these darkroom safe bulbs are great. Give off that nice yellow tint to them, and you can see very clearly. And another little thing to buy is, you can get these on Amazon, or you can get them at your local hardware store. Just a little ink mixing drill bit. And just bring a really cheap drill, because you're gonna get emulsion on it, right? Got this one at a yard sale, specifically for this reason. So just like before, when you go to print, you wanna mix your inks up, right? You wanna do the same with your emulsion. And I know I said I don't like to mix that stuff for the base layer long lasting emulsion, but we do this every time, no matter what emulsion we have, no matter how long this emulsion has been sitting. It's just a good practice to get into. And along with that, what you wanna do is, you already have that degreaser and your emulsion remover, right, for your reclaim process. So get you a little, we just have an old Gatorade cup that we cut open, right? And it's got some degreaser and some, just a little bit of water in there. So as soon as you're done mixing this emulsion, you put it in here so you don't get dried up emulsion on this as well. So you don't want to go too crazy, just mix it for, you don't need to go more than 30 seconds. Make sure you let go before you pull it out, because you're going to be slinging emulsion everywhere, and that comes from experience also. So real gently, make sure you don't splatter it everywhere, and just right there. So now we are going to pour it into our scoop coater. And good practice with this is you don't want to get it more than about halfway full. So I'm gonna try and get it to where you guys can kind of see. I like to just start in the center and just right there. You know, I know just from experience that's way too much emulsion in order to only only to coat 2 screens, but just showing you guys how we do it, right? And another little thing is get you some mixing sticks or just some business cards. And make sure you get it nice and even across your scoop coater so you get a nice even coat on your screen. Okay, that's all good. Put the excess back in there, save you a little bit of money, save you some time. Put this out of the way, and so we got our thin side, right? And you want to do the ink side of your screen first if you're using this bracket, right? So I can hold it with both hands. It's going to be a nice even coat. And what you want to do is kind of hold it onto your screen right here and then just tilt it forward. See? Well, I use gloves. I already got emulsion on my finger. Anyways, you want to tilt it forward until you see that emulsion. Just kiss the screen all the way across and just slowly go forward. So here we go. And you're going to hear that nice, satisfying little zip. And you get right here, you just slowly tilt it back, nice even coat. And then you take it, obviously don't touch the emulsion, flip your screen around, and then you're gonna do the same thing. Just basically right where you started, tilt it forward, and this is a pretty standard, just 1-in-1 coat. You coat, so you put it right here to dry. You do 1 swipe on the ink side and 1 swipe on the shirt side. And that, with your ChromaLime, you don't need to do more than that. People will tell you if you have a more detailed image, if you're using a 230 or 300 or 305 mesh count, that you want to do 2 and 2, but from our experience, you just do a 1-in-1 coat and you do it properly, you follow these steps, you'll be good to go. All right, I ended up coating a little more than 2 because I had a lot more clean. Didn't want to bore you with coating all 8 of them. So it's the same process. The more you get it dialed in and you centralize doing the same exact thing, coating it the same way every single time, your results are gonna improve and your process is gonna improve. Your customers are gonna be more happy, you're gonna make more money, another upward spiral, right? So another thing that we didn't do, simply because we were being ignorant, right? When we got done, we would have this much emulsion left and we didn't want it to dry, so we hurried up and took it to the washout booth and rinsed it all out, not realizing how much money that is going to waste, right? So just a simple thing to do, get your business card, get a cleanup card, whatever, and just pour it all back in there. Takes a few seconds, you're gonna get dirty, you're gonna make a mess, but it's all part of the process, right? Gotta love it. So make sure you do this before you take it to your washout booth. And again, just like with that drill bit, the quicker you can rinse this out and clean it off properly, the better. You're not gonna have dried up emulsion on here and your screens are gonna be coated properly every single time. I just realized as I was talking about these darkroom safe bulbs, as I was pointing at them, you guys couldn't see them. So here they are. It's really simple. We just put it in a clamp lamp, and they usually come with the aluminum shrouds on them, but we found out that they produce a little too much heat, and here in Arizona we don't need extra heat. So we just removed them. Really simple to move around. They just clamp onto wherever you need them to. You can move them around. They're super simple, very, very effective, and very cheap. So this is what it looks like. We only have 2 of them in here, and it's plenty of light. So make sure you guys get one. Link is in the description below.